Hello, hello, everybody out there on the internet. Welcome to Cosmonarchy Casts. Pronogo Casts Cosmonarchy. Something like that. We've got an exciting matchup here because we are on a map that we don't see very often. And we are seeing Shopkeeper Dog, Terran Extraordinaire. Many called him the Terran. And he is playing as Askosi in the bottom right of Air Gap, which is a map by Kenoli, and Kenoli is our other player in the top left, our Zerg. He is Pumpkin, because he's always Pumpkin, while Shopkeeper Dog appears to be an Alice Blue, but he was actually Glacial. Pretty similar color, but that's all right. We see him opening function here with a little bit of team building. Very interesting choice. And that is indeed what the Askosi are all about, is they are able to team build, to assist each other. They've got unit behaviors and active abilities that allow them to synergize with each other. And it looks like Shopdog was just team building for a little bit, and then, he makes the second function. Interesting. Now, Shopdog is a spreadsheets guy. He's a guy who's all about efficiency perceived, or efficiency actual versus vibes. And so he doesn't really care too much about what feels good. He cares cares a lot about what is good, objectively. Now, does that mean he's objectively the best player in Cosmonarchy? Well, I'll let you decide. He's playing Askosi, so that's pretty cool. By the way, Askosi are available for selection in the next weekend wage, which is, as of the time of recording, this weekend, the 17th of January. So if you want to participate fighting as or against, or both, Askosi, you may sign up. It is open to anyone in our Discord server. Link in the description. You also find links to support project development, including ways to raise money for a newbie tournament, which we're currently raising money for. That's streamlabs.com/pronogo for that one. Or if you just want to support the project overall, maybe commission a couple of factional units or something like that, feel free to check out our coffee page and all of its services. That's code-fee.com/pronogo and Week7. We appreciate your support. Now, the landlock is coming, so there will be an expansion behind this 2-rove attack. And interestingly enough, the roves don't really have to stutter too much on their production. So, meanwhile, Kenoli's preemptively been building quas, and just going to go ahead and get his second Larvos. He's playing very defensive, pretty low worker count so far, and he's now switching into more Droleth production, knowing that the roves are a possibility. He's also got a circuit at the front. So, the way that the rove works is that when they take damage, they will begin to regenerate a little bit of life. And this is also, this must have been back in the patch before rove jumping became like a group target thing. But when you jump with the rove, you get access to a bit of a heal as well. So basically you proc the same passive that applies when they take damage. So they will heal from when they're initially taking damage, and it's pretty good at doing some general stuff, like giving you access to what you need for a little bit of healing here and there. Extra functions, it's going to be the Rove mono comp here for Shopdog. Listen, I make no bones about it. I did not watch this replay beforehand. I have no idea if it looks good, if it paints the race in a particularly good-looking light. We might just see Shopkeeper Dog make only Roves. That might be what we see here. I just want to prepare you for that. It is a possibility. But there's some cool ideas in the race, and I dig it. I'm looking forward to developing it further. And we do need to replace every graphic that you see for the Askosi. Every single one of them needs to be, changed in some way. So please keep that in mind. But we have some graphics from Five Nations, from Impact of Power, from Outlive, from Aatrox. So there's a bunch of different sources that we've pulled from for this. The Five Nations guys are super nice. They do have a Steam game out there if you want to play RTS in space. And they did just straight up give me permission, not just for Cosmonarchy, which is great. We have to get that kind of permission anyway, right? But he also said if I ever want, Twardan is the lead developer, he said if I want to use them as graphics in my own game that I sell for money on Steam, that I can. So, very swell guy. I appreciate him. And, of course, shout out Five Nations on Steam. Still just kind of sharking around here with the roves, seeing what's going on. Doesn't actually scout that the quas drop is in effect. However, he might end up spotting it just in general. And the rove can attack air, so it's something that you got to watch out for, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to quite run it down. Now, listen, if he had a unit on the one side, he could have teleported everybody else there because the rove has the ability to jump to an ally. Just saying. Just saying, man. Now, the gauntlet has been made, so clearly some other units are intended here. The Intendant is unlocked by the Gauntlet from the function. Shoos away the Ovaleth on its initial approach. And it looks like now the Hydras are moving in, including an Iziracore. He's got to watch out, though. That's just going to proc the impact dissipation a little bit. Here come the Quaz drop. Initially targeting down the Rogue. Not necessarily the best choice, in my opinion. Oh, he didn't kill a single one. Not a single Pilgrim. Oh, no, he did. One Pilgrim did go down. Not great, considering he also loses the Ovaleth in the process. But all of the units fall back. That releases a little bit of pressure. Kenoli's able to expand. I have heard that Zerg has it hard versus Askosi. I've heard that the Askosi are pretty good at doing early aggression. And man's got 30 roves. He's got a lot of roves. And he's not slowing down anytime soon. Now, I will also point out, Shopkeeper Dog is a significantly better player than Kenoli, mechanistically, mechanically. He usually slams his macro out and stuff. So I can't really say that it surprises me, this kind of outcome, but I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. Look, he's even got Iziracores here. He's got Hydras turning into Backdulls. Oh, okay, so 2 Cosmoscopes are coming up. We'll talk about those in a moment here as Shopkeeper Dog initially does a little bit of work to attack this Zerg position. Now, the Iziracores in enough number will soak up a lot of damage from the Robe and do a lot of splash damage. But in smaller numbers, they just end up bouncing a little bit and healing them, essentially. You can see Shopdog trying to use that active ability to get a little bit more movement speed, a little bit more healing out of his units, but it is not to be. The Backdulls are out now, and the Robes do not have that much that they can do about it. You can see him trying to get right up on top of them to make it so that those Backdullos bounces don't hit. But it's not going to work out. The Backdullos bounce is conditional on range traveled. If you travel max range or max native range, then you can get a 2 bounces. But if you're on the high ground, you get even more. Your enemy runs away from you, and it makes the bullet travel even further. Then you can get more bounces than that. And conversely, if they get right up on top of you, you are going to start losing out on that bounce, and your damage will be a lot worse as a result. So that's exactly what Shopkeeper Dog was trying to do there, but it was to no effect here. A lot of minerals for both players, it must be said. And there it is. The Cosmoscopes are up. We've got the Tirades on the way. And in small numbers, Tirades can be dealt with the Nathra Core, which is available as long as you've got your Vornath Pond, your initial pool upgrade, which right now Kenoli does not have. Tirades are even, like in small numbers, doable with just a couple of Spraiths. But when you get to a really good number of them, it becomes way harder, in my opinion. And so definitely a unit that will likely see a couple of balance tweaks. There's still some details about its ability that aren't working quite as intended. And so I made it so that, like, well, this ability isn't... It's a little bit weaker than it should be, so I'll make them a little bit stronger in general. And so obviously you can see people are still using them pretty good right about now. The Robes are going to continue kind of angling forward. They're not too happy about the initial look of it, although one Backdullisk is being lured out. Iziracores are going to chase after it. Does he suss out that it wasn't through the middle? Sends a couple of units that direction. Yeah, the Robes could just get squished over here. Gotta watch out. There is another ramp off to the side here. Trying to see what he can do. All the Iziracores went up to 12 o'clock. That's not where the Robes were at, though. Now the Backdullisks are able to shoot up from the low ground. Yeah, a couple of them go down, but honestly, that was a very cost-efficient trade there for Kenoli. However, we do have 4 Tirades on the way. There's actually nothing over here. This is not a bad situation for Kenoli, believe it or not. Like, he'll lose his hatch if he's not careful. But he actually wants the Tirades to be in this form. And Shopkeeper Dog wants them to die so that they can they can embed and start shooting at everything. But overall, this actually will be a little bit of an underwhelming shot of the Tirades. And he ends up losing a number of Hydras. It looks like a couple Backdulls. He actually borrowed some of his units. I think that might have been an error, but it does make it so that the Tirades can't do damage to them anymore. And it's just Tirade Rove. That's it for now. He's got a lot more Roves coming with those 6 functions. He's, of course, got a pair of Cosmoscopes we saw earlier, and he's back up to 4 Tirades. And Kenoli hasn't actually spent most of his money or his larva. He's got a lot of larva floating, and he does need a lot more Hydras. He needs to replenish his army before this next attack comes in. The Hydras and the Bactyls are going to be able to deal with the Roves fine, but the Tirades are going to be the problem, as we just saw. They can pack quite a punch. People in chat. I'm roving here. Yeah, that's true. I don't even understand where the I'm walking you a bit came from as far as me saying it specifically. I know Hit 'em Up keeps talking about. I should say that. Must be some deep cut. So triple Spraith over here in the natural. We've got quadruple Spraith over here in the main. Clearly an angle against the Tirades. And we've got the Tetzoricors out here. Oh no, the Larvosks are sitting ducks for those. Now the Roves shouldn't actually pack much of a punch, especially as the Tets come out. Let's keep tabs on the positioning of these. The Drolets aren't burrowed. Okay, now they are. Whew, that was close. And no detection was brought in, so all the Roves end up crashing upon the shores. But it does look like, 2 more Tirades came in to assist. Maybe 3 more, actually. And so this army does need to be dealt with. He ends up remorphing the Larvosks that he lost into Spraiths, which is a pretty smart move, actually. Needs to get back to mining here as soon as he can. And there it is, 9 o'clock being taken. Not an island base in this version of Air Gap. It has been updated. Yeah, it looks like the bottom left and the top right are islands. I like Air Gap. I actually think it's a pretty cool map. It's just probably the main issue that I would levy at it, from a spectator perspective at the very least, is that it's a very plain map visually, which might have even been by design, for if you ask Kenoli. But there's not very many, there's not much eye candy or decor. Man just makes a ton of roves. I can't believe it. It's back up to the 6 Tirade count, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, we're going higher than that now. But you can see that this is taxing a lot of what Shopkeeper Dog can make. The Tirades are pretty pricey. Maybe some could argue they're not pricey enough, but they are pretty expensive units. I don't think 9 o'clock will be staying up for much longer, especially if it's actually scouted. Shopdog, I don't think the Tirades actually showed him the Kagra there, so he doesn't see the creep spread, as we call it Kagra here. But I do think that the successive assaults have been pretty devastating. I think the Tirade would be a bit more... would probably be a little bit more compelling as far as like a hit and run unit or like a harassment unit. It kind of works in this way. You see that like in the early stages of the game before they get to so many, that Shopdog had to use a lot of his other ground army units to try to distract for the Tirades. And then the Tirades came in and did their initial bout of damage. So I feel like stuff like that's pretty neat conceptually, but they're probably doing too much damage. But that's all right. Fair and balanced race, guys. 12 Tirades. I've never seen something so terrifying. Wait. Well, we don't need to wait. He's going with the 12 Tirades. Well, the Bactyls could help out, to be honest. I think he needs like Viths or something, and he's got a lot of minerals. Alright, he's thinking about it. Now he's going to make a lot of Skithricors, so those will deal some splash damage. He really still could make so many more mineral units. I guess he probably doesn't want to make claws, but they at least shoot up. Some of these Kagrants are never morphed. That's a problem. Ground army coming on in. The Tetzoricor is slashing away at Roves. No real concern there. But we are still at 12 Tirades, and I think there are more where that came from. Oh yeah, baby. 20 Tirades, baby. You thought he was roving here. Instead, he gave you something to think about. He chewed you out, spat you out. GG has to be called at that point, and Shopkeeper Dog has won a game with Roves and Tirades alone. I just want to point out that the passive that the Tirade has when it lands, it embeds itself into the ground and then becomes able to target many things, is called Excoriation Assembly. I think that's pretty nifty. We're going to give it the magical treatment, and eventually when we figure out why my initial attempt at programming that failed, But that is a GG right there. That's pretty baller. So GG, and my apologies to Kenoli. He does win some games versus Shopkeeper Dog's Askosi, but I think it's probably when Shopkeeper Dog decides to be very fancy. Anyway, we'll see more from those two pretty soon. GG.